Welcome back to Switch to Linux. Well, today we want to have a look at some Sparky Linux. And what I want to do today is show you how to run the command line installation for Sparky Linux so that you can actually get this guy set up, get this guy installed, and choose your desktop environment. So if you download just the standard Sparkies, you're stuck with the desktop environment that you grab. But if you go with the CLI installation, you can actually choose the desktop environment that you want. So let's head on over first over to the Sparky website. So this is sparkylinux.org. You can get some information. They do have some special editions. Multimedia, which is for web design, multimedia work. They have a game over for gaming. They have a rescue release. They have stable and they have rolling models based on the various branches of Debian. And they do have a nice wiki over here. And I'm going to jump on over there so I can remember the exact command to get into install. It's either I think it's Sparky installer, I think. But anyway, if you head on over to the wiki, then there is a lot of information that we have. So it's using it. Here's live modes, systems, all these different elements. So you can grab all the information that you need. So if you head on over to the system install, it'll grab you all of the information that you need. You can choose the advanced installer as the one we are going to use today. The thing that I hate about the Calamaris installer on Sparky is it will not allow you to, it is so frustrating if you want to use a test type system because it simply will not let you install with a short password or with a dictionary password. And, there's very valid reasons why I want a short or a simple password on a test machine. And if I go to install it, you cannot install it without a complicated password. Sparky, you need to fix that. I understand it's for security, but we're also talking about a Linux installation that is specifically, according to their website, not for basic users. So give us more option. So we're going to do the Sparky installer or Sparky Linux installer. So it was either one of the two that I said it was. All right, so now we'll head on back to their main website. You can head on over to their download page. We can go with the stable branch or the semi-rolling. Semi-rolling is based on the Debian testing. The stable is based on the current stable line of Debian. That's the one we're working with. We have 32 and 64-bit options from a variety of download sources. This is LXQT, XFCE. The minimum GUI still requires that Calamaris. You might be able to drop into terminal root and install the with the minimal. But if you're doing that, just go ahead and grab the minimal CLI. Again, 32 and 64, and they do have an ARM version as well. So I'm using the minimal CLI installation for the purposes of this video. All right, so now what we're going to do is I want to show you guys what the system is going to look like when we are done with our installation. So what I end up doing is you have a variety of 20 different desktop environments. So I actually went with the Budgie desktop. So we'll go ahead, jump on over here and have a look at the Budgie desktop. It did install everything just fine. However, it does, when I did the installation, it actually did not select Budgie to start. It went to the default X session, and it doesn't actually have that. So it's like it was crashing. I'm like, oh, this is not good. I go up, check. Oh, we were not on Budgie. Once you go up there on the login screen and set it over to boot into Budgie, and now we have our Sparky Linux running Budgie. Now, I want you guys to tell me in the live chat here which desktop environment we should use. Again, I don't want to do a window manager, so I will ignore window manager requests. But basic desktops, let me know which desktop we should run. So you can see here that we don't have a ton of bloat. Basic accessories. We have an archiver, files. I'm guessing is this. Let's see, just the files application. I think it's based on Nautilus, if I remember. Nothing graphics installed. We have Firefox ESR. I actually chose ESR. We do have Mutt. We have nothing under Office. We have just an icon browser under Programming, Pulse Audio volume control. We have the About Sparky Linux here. Let's pull this guy up. We'll have a look at that in a moment. And Budgie desktop settings, Deb package installer, a couple terminals. We actually got a lot of terminals. We have a task manager, a system upgrader. Go ahead and grab that guy. And then we just have some basic Synaptic settings and not much else. So if you're looking for a good non-bloated Debian that is a little bit more sparkier, or maybe even themed a little bit better, I think the theming is a little bit nicer, at least on Budgie. That might just be Budgie though. Then we can actually go with this. So here's the upgrader. We can upgrade it. We can see the change log, or we can exit. So let's go ahead and do that. So you can see here we're on Sparky Linux. We're on version 5.11, and we have, here's our RAM total, our swap total. I want to see if it gives us the kernel information. I think we're on a 4.9 kernel at this point. Let's go with a terminal and uname. So, 4.19. 4.19. So that's kind of what we have here. So everything does seem pretty decent out of the box. It's very minimal, nice, easy setup, and we'll kind of show you how you can go ahead and get started on this. So what we'll do here is I'm going to log out, if I can remember how to log out of Budgie. We'll go ahead and shut down the system, and then we'll come on over in here and I'll show you how to get this guy set up. Okay, so here we are. We're setting up the virtual machine, and I have a disk in here with 20 gigs. We're going to drop the minimal ISO in here, and we will go ahead and boot this guy up. So we can choose English. We can use English with no splash. We can boot to the first hard drive. There's more languages. Let's go ahead and boot to the main system here. And the installation is going to be pretty much about this size. So while it's booting up, I'm going to go ahead and increase the size of our terminal screen here. All right, so here we are. We have landed on our desktop here, and I'm just going to drop to root now, just to get it over with. And so now we do the Sparky-installer, and then this is going to start up. Now, a lot of the defaults are already set to English for us, so that's good. So here's the advanced installer, lets you install the live system to your hard drive, lets you install your favorite desktop with a minimal set of applications. If you wish, it will be possible if a network connection is on. Highly suggested to quit the installer and check for newer version using sudo apt update. Install sudo backup core. Ignore if you've already done it. So we can actually go ahead and do that now if we want to. In my case, I actually didn't have any problems installing it with this and then updating afterwards. So we're just going to go ahead and proceed. All right, so would you like to install Sparky? Okay, so US English of choice. Would you like to install it with a different locale? Press yes to change it or no to keep the current. Since I am in US English, I'm going to click no. We need to prepare swap and target partitions. So you're going to need to format two partitions in here. One of these for swap and one of these for your root partition. So we're going to choose the disk that we want to partition, which is SDA. So everything is already set up, but what we want to do is just to show you guys how to do it, we're just going to go ahead and dump everything. So I'm going to just use the keyboard options, going over to, hold on. It actually wants me to, let's see, go down to that one. There you go, delete. I hit it twice, and if you hit it twice, it deletes, and then it creates new. So I just had to go down, just go up and down to the different partitions. So now I've actually wiped out all the system partitions. I'm going to click on new, and you can see it's defaulting to the full size, which I do not want. I'm going to go ahead and just do 16 gig here. Press enter. So just scroll that out. So it says on the bottom of the screen, use G for gigabyte, M for mega, T for tera. So we'll go and go with 16. We're going to call this a primary. And then down here, we're going to hit new. 4x5 is good. And we're going to do an extended here. And what we're going to do is under type, we want to come down and we want to find what we need for our swap. It's in here somewhere. I just got to remember exactly where it is. You guys are already looking at it going, it's right there, it's right there. But come on, man. It's always different when you're actually doing a video. Linux swap. There you go, number 82. So now we have a swap and we have a root. So now we are going to write. Are you sure you want to write? We need to manually type in yes, and the partition table has been done. So now we are good. We're going to go ahead and do this. Now where you want the swap partition. Remember our swap partition was our smaller one. And now we're going to select a root, which is this one here. Select a file type. Here you can go with BTRFS, ext2, 3.4, or XFS. I'm going to do the ext4. And under our root here, we want to put our home on the root partition. Now we want to enter our password for root. Note that nothing, not even stars, shows up. I'm going to enter my super secret password that is definitely not 123. Now we are going to type in our username. So this is your real name, so you could put in your full real name, whatever you want. For the test system, I'm just going to use Sparky for everything. So this is the username, which has to be all lowercase letters. So we'll go ahead and hit that in. And again, this is going to be empty. I'm going to enter my super secret password that is definitely not 123. Now here, do you want to automatically log in or do you want to have to enable your password? I'm going to go ahead and hit the false to require a password to log in. Particularly important since it does not default to the desktop environment that we want to use. Now we want to enter the host name. This is what the computer is going to be called on the network. So we'll go ahead and hit our Sparky there and select where to install Grub. We're going to install Grub on the master boot record of the primary hard drive, which is generally where you want. If you're doing something custom, so if you're looking for a distribution, you can tell it where you want to install Grub. Hey, this could be a choice for you, but this is exactly where we want it. And now, do we want to have a delay or anything else? So I'm just going to go with the default of 5 seconds with no changes. Is your system clock set to the local time? We'll just say yes, it is. And now we want to select a time zone. So here we're going to go down and find America, and I'm going to go with America, New York. All right, new user Sparky will be created on ext4 formatted SDA1 partition, and Grub will be installed. Do you want to continue? The answer is yes. So now we're going to proceed on, and it's going to start grabbing some information and start working on some stuff. All right, so then what we are going to do is it's going to walk through setting some things up, and in a moment here it will ask us which desktop environment we want to install and if we want to have an extra web browser. So right now we're going to pause the video and I'll be back on the next step. All right, so now it says we can install our favorite desktop with a set of small applications, like a web browser. Okay. So before you start this, the tool will check for updates of 2 packages. So it's going to do Sparky Backup Desktop and Sparky Desktop Data to provide the latest versions. Would you like to do that now? All right. In fact, Plasma would actually be a good one to try. We're going to do that because we've had some discussion on the chat while this was working on the installation that Debian in Plasma is going to be old. And what I want to do is, one of the things Sparky says it does is it does have its own repositories with things. So I'm curious to know if they give us better versions or better, more up-to-date versions of the desktop environment. So Debian with newer desktop environment would be a very good reason to run it. So here we have, let's walk through the list of options. We have Awesome, we have Bspawn, we have Budgie, Common Desktop Environment. That actually sounds fun. Cinnamon, Enlightenment, Fluxbox, GNOME, Flashback GNOME, we have GNOME Shell, we have i3, ICE Window Manager, Stacking Window Manager, Plasma KDE. We have Lumina, lightweight interface for any Unix Lite OS. I want to come back and try out Lumina, common desktop environment, a few things. LXDE, LXQT, Mate, OpenBox. is it PEC Window Manager? I'll have to play with some of these. There's a web-based interface for sysadmins. That actually sounds fun too. Window Manager for the X Windows system, XFCE, and we can exit the desktop environment. I want to run Plasma, so we're going to do that. Now we want to choose which web browser we want. We have Chromium, Dillo, Epiphany, Firefox CSR, IceCat, Conqueror, Otter, Pale Moon, SeaMonkey, Tor browser, Vivaldi, or no change in web browser. By default, it provides an elinks. Let's see. Let's do Firefox ESR, and then we're going to go ahead and run the rest of the process here. Let's see if this takes just a second. Then I'll go ahead. If it's going to take longer, then we'll go. So it says 2 gigs of space will be used, and it's going to download almost a gig of space. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and pause the video for this step, as we're just going to sit here and wait for the step to go. All right, so here, if your computer gets IP address information from DHCP server, the server will provide information. So basically here, do we want to modify this or not? We're going to say no, because the computer is going to get the IP address from my router. We're not manually configuring it. This is something like in Pi-hole you manually configure. So we're going to say no on that part. All right, so here it says if everything went well, you should have your new system installed and ready to use. Do you want to reboot now? Now, of note, it does not kick the ISO out of the drive. And so what we're going to see here is it's going to reboot as if the ISO is still here. So we're just going to go down and boot the first hard disk. And while after I push this button, I'm going to go and turn my scaling back off so that we don't have a super zoomed system if it boots full screen. All right, so here we are. We got our loading screen. So far, so good. And the one thing I'm going to check as soon as we actually land on our login screen is I'm going to check to make sure that it is actually going to be booting into Plasma. That was an issue I had. And I don't see an option to choose what we're booting into. So hopefully we boot into Plasma. If we don't boot into Plasma, we'll have to go in and figure out how to get it to boot. So it does look like we're booting Plasma. All right, so here we have booted full screen Plasma right into it, right out of the installation section. And let's go ahead and have a look at our system here. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to check our About the System, and I did not check which version of Plasma is current. Since we're running Debian, this might be a little bit older, so we're running Plasma version 5.14. So let's go ahead and go into Firefox, and let's see what the Plasma version of Debian and current presently are, because honestly, I don't know. All right, so let's go ahead and do Plasma KDE, current version. Current version apparently is 5.18, so we are currently running 5.14. And in Debian 10, let's see what the current version is in Debian 10, if I can find such a thing. So, judging from the current repository, 5.14.3, we're running 5.14.5. Okay, so that is, we're a little bit older. Now, the question is, if we run our updates at this point in time, our core updates, are we going to have a newer version? That's a good question. But let's go ahead and poke around what we have here installed. So under development, we have an icon theme. Graphics, we have a KDE image viewer. Under internet, we have Firefox, which we installed. We have Conqueror. We have Mutt, simple text-based mail user. I want to learn how to use Mutt. I want to take some time to do that. Under Office, we just have Mutt. Ruff, ruff. Settings, Package Manager, we have Synaptic Package Manager, and we have our Plasma system settings. Under our system, we have our About Sparky, Dolphin File Manager. Let's have a look at what our system monitor looks like. System load, it looks like we're running on 0.45 gig, very low CPU usage, so that's actually pretty good there. Of our terminal, and that's about what we got. All right. Let's see. I want to have a look at our system settings, see what versions of things we're on. All right, so workspace themes. We just have our basics. So we have Breeze Dark, but we're actually running a Sparky themed version. So we actually do have a little bit of custom theming inside of here. So we are slightly better than our just our vanilla Debian, because we are getting better theming. So that's one thing that we're going to expect. Debian out of the box. Debian out of the box for pretty much any desktop environment looks ugly by default. So something like Sparky is going to fix that by default. Desktop behavior, so we can kind of see what we have. Let's right click. Let's configure the desktop, have a look at what we have here. So let's have our basic Debian wallpapers, and then we'll have a few other Sparky-based wallpapers in here as well. Looks like this might be the only Sparky-based wallpaper that we have. There you go. I'm going to apply this one there. There you go. Nice spacey Debian theme. All right, so there's that. We're under our folder view. We can create new folders. Everything looks really nice and really themed. So yeah, if you're looking for a good out-of-the-box, well-themed Debian, Sparky might be a way to go. Let's go ahead and let's boot up the terminal and see what type of updates we might have. Apparently, I typed my password that's not 123 incorrectly. All right, so we do have 34 new packages that can be upgraded. So let's look at what that list is. Sudo apt list upgradable. So let's see if there's anything in here. Linux image will update. Nothing specific in Plasma or anything, so we can kind of see what we have as options there. So there we are, though. Now we've started from the command line. We have installed Sparky with our choice of desktop. Everything is themed well. Everything appears to be working well. And there we have it. So if you want to know how to install Sparky Linux with a command line, needed that extra tutorial there, there's what we have. So let me know your thoughts. Do you use Sparky or Debian or other distributions? Let me know in the comments down below. And as usual, if you are using this as your main desktop driver, consider helping support the Sparky project. You can find all the information for donation on their own site. So thanks for coming along, and hope that you enjoy switching to Linux.